Hey there, global citizens. Welcome back to the Global Talks, your podcast dedicated to covering the joys and challenges of global citizens. Today, we have two very special guests with us to discuss a fascinating topic, the history and evolution of the passport, a document used by travelers from all over the world. And we will also explore Global Citizen Solutions passport ranking to add more quality to our discussion and reveal the strongest passports in the world according to the Global Passport Index. Without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Joana Mendonça, Head of Legal, and Manuel Garrido, Global Citizen Solutions, Head of Marketing. So, let's dive in. Joana and Manuel, thank you very much for being here. Now I'm not going to talk because in our podcast I talk a lot at the beginning, so I'll just send this over to you. So can you give me a quick introduction about your work at Global Citizen Solutions, please? Joana, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm the head of legal for Global Citizen Solutions. I've been working on immigration for the past 14 years, and I'm really passionate about the topic of passport and citizenship.
Okay. Looking forward to dive into your pool of knowledge. And how about you, Manuel?
Hi, Susanne. I'm Manuel Garrido. I'm the head of marketing here at Global Citizen Solutions for a long time now, since before the Global Passport Index. And I've been working with marketing, digital marketing for more than 25 years now.
Okay. So that's a lot of expertise to build onto a platform such as the Global Passport Index. But before I talk to you about such an interesting platform now in its second edition, I'd like to spend some time with Joana to delve into the world of passports. Well, it's just because we're so used to, using this document for traveling that sometimes we forget what is the real meaning of a passport and where it came from and so on. So I did some research, and I'm sure my research is minimum compared to your knowledge, Joana, but don't dismiss it. As we all know that passports have been around for centuries, so I found that out as well. And the origins, they can be traced back to ancient times. So when travelers would carry the letters of introductions to, and that was written by a monarch or high-ranking official, telling what this person was going to do, in the name of, Tsar, general, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there is the expression, which I love, don't kill the messenger. So that's pretty much what this letter is all about, because they were used to provide safe passage through territories and to establish the traveler's identity. I'm here in the name of, King Robert Baratheon, and I want to sell you my dragons. I don't know. Right, so Joana, so now facts, history. I know you are a keen researcher and you know a lot about passports and citizenship. So could you give us an introduction about the origins of passports?
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I have some notes here so I don't get lost in all the historical data. Actually, the origins of the passport can be traced back at least to the biblical era. The document on the origin was not exactly the passport as we know it. It was more similar to what we now know as a visa, because it started as a safe conduct, as you mentioned.
Paper.
Yes.
For the paper.
And it was not assigned to locals, but to foreigners coming in. So at that time, it was about guaranteeing safe passage in and out of a kingdom for the purpose of negotiations. This was the first idea. From the 15th century on, the concept and the use of safe conduct were more widespread, more common, sometimes involving taxes or fees, obviously. And with people's mobility increasing especially after the Industrial Revolution, this concept eventually evolved into the identification document that we now use.
Okay, now we have a couple of passports here. We'll talk about them later. And so I should have asked, thank you for that. I should have asked you right at the beginning, but I forgot, I'm sorry. What's the meaning of the word passport?
Okay, that's tricky. Some say it comes from French, or others say from Italian. So for sure, a Latin language. The way the word sounds, both in Italian or French, means pass the port, meaning the ability to cross a border, or not to cross a border, to pass or cross or enter a port. And as we know, the ports were usually entry zones in kingdoms and territories. So this is why it was the ability to pass through a port, and like that
sort of thing. Okay, and when did it start to become more standardized, a norm to use this document for international identification, crossing borders identification sort of thing?
The need for identifying citizens became after World War I. And it was in the League of Nations that actually the harmonization of the passport as we know it appeared for the first time. Actually, it was exactly in the League of Nations that it was determined the official color of the passport. Back then, it was old blue. Right now, the vast majority of passports are either red or burgundy. But back then, when they started to standardize the document, it was determined that the cover should be old blue. So it was after World War I that it became more necessary to know exactly who was entering a territory, and to use this document as an identification document. So that's it.
Were there pictures used at that time?
Initially, there were descriptions, physical descriptions. And then when photography became more common, yes, after the League of Nations, they started adding pictures to the documents.
Okay. So I think there's also a good anecdote that I found was the fact that I think it was in the 18th century that to avoid forgery, some passports were printed in silk and some were even made of metal. Anyway, that's from to prevent forgery, which is a kind of an issue that we have in this day and age. So how about, do you have more historical facts you want to throw in?
Some fun facts. Actually, right now you have an amazing sort of features to prevent forgery and holograms, biometric data. So right now passports are much safer, and I think that Nicaragua's passport is considered to be one of the safest because they have 89 features of safety features, something like that. It's amazing.
How do you know any of those safety features?
I think it's between holograms and biometric data and all those details. I think it's 89 features, but I'm not sure. About fun facts, so I have some. Passport colors. It's not random. We spoke about the old blue. It was the first one, but it's not a random choice. There's usually a choice behind the color used in the cover, depending on the country. So, for example, in Ukraine,
Is this the old? I'm showing a passport because some of our podcast is recorded on video, but also an audio. So right now I'm holding a British passport, the new one, post Brexit. So that's the old blues. Okay. And then in the new blue, now I'm holding a Brazilian passport, but there are two different covers as well.
yeah, then this new blue stands for the idea of the new world. So this Brazil makes sense for Brazil. In Europe, most...
The fun fact, sorry, Brazil's passport used to be green before that one. The one on the left that Suzanne is holding, it's a blue one from the Mercosul era, let's say. And then they issued back to this old fashioned with the
coat of arms.
The coat of arms of Brazil, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then you were talking about the...
European Union passports usually are burgundy, and countries that want to join the European Union, they usually change their passport cover to burgundy too.
Oh, okay, that's good. So I'm holding now a Portuguese passport and a Spanish one. And is there anything else? You said that there are also messages. I mean, not on secret ones, but like interesting.
Yes, sometimes it's common to have a message of ancient inspiration asking for anyone who checks the passport to let the bearer of the passport pass. I think the British passport has...
I'll read that one. I need my glasses. Her Britannic Majesty's Secretary of State requests and requires, in the name of Her Majesty, all those whom it may concern, to allow the bearer to pass freely without let or hindrance, and to afford the bearer such assistance and protection as may be necessary. Let's read what's in the procedure one, because I think there's also a message here. Ooh, that's sweet. Tiny letters. Foreign authorities are requested to allow the bearer such assistance and protection as may be necessary. Nice, straight to the point.
There were collective or family passports back in the day.
The passports.
Yeah, the man was understood to be the head of the family. So the family members, like wife and children, they were just endorsed in the passport, just added to the man's passport.
It's okay.
Not anymore.
It's a small thing.
Actually, that's not so old.
No?
No, because my first Spanish, because I have double citizenship. So my first Spanish passport, when my first daughter was born, like 20 years ago, she didn't have a passport. Her name was actually on my passport, name and ID and everything. And now I have a baby daughter. When she was born, now they removed this, the new passports. They don't have the children anymore as the passport. They have their own passport right now. So it's not that old, this kind of...
No. I think that until the 70s or something, there were still passports where the wife was still endorsed in the man's passport.
Well, so you had to travel with your husband everywhere.
Also, one more. It's common that to distinguish passports under the idea of features for safety, some countries have very specific features. One of the most interesting is the one from Norway, because if you use black light in Norway's passport, you see the Northern Lights.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I think there's another passport, and you can also shine, I think, Chinese or the New Zealand passport. You shine a light and you see like a whole world of colors. It's the New Zealand passport. Cool. So I don't feel neglected, Manuel, because I actually have a lot more questions for you. So you soon be talking non-stop. But I still want to take more from the fountain of knowledge here, aka Joana Mendonça. Joana, so you talked about passports, which is great. And now, like, if it's not too much to ask, if you could make a connection between this document that allows us to travel internationally and what it represents in terms of citizenship. So, because it's also a document that says, I am British or from whatever. But yeah, tell me more.
Okay, so the passport does not necessarily determine citizenship, but citizenship entitles you to a passport. Except if you have some restrictions on the criminal level, but usually citizenship entitles to a passport. And why does not the passport mean exactly citizenship? Because you have several types of passport, and every country has different types of passports. So you have regular passports, official, diplomatic, emergency, foreigners, sometimes called aliens passport. The name is odd, but
Yeah.
it exists. So it's the fact that you have a passport from a specific country does not mean that you're a citizen, because the passport is also a travel document. So it determines ultimately your ability to travel, to cross a specific border, and under which terms. So it's not exactly the same, but Obviously, in most cases, someone is entitled to the passport of the citizenship, and most people only have one passport, and it's a regular one. So it's a vast majority of cases, passport means citizenship, but it's not the rule. Also, you can have, this is also not the rule, but you can have two passports from the same country. It's not easy, and it's just for specific scenarios, but it's possible. For example, to have a temporary one and a regular passport. If if your regular passport is stuck at the consulate waiting for a visa to be issued, you can ask for temporary, urgent passport, and you will have two passports.
Okay.
And from the same country.
From the same country. So you can have a passport that might not be a citizen, but if you have a citizenship,
Most likely you're entitled to the passport.
Thank you, Joana. Now you brought us to the topic of passports, and I think it's finally the time to speak to Manuel. So,
Just one more question before we move on. And how about the relationship between, and we're going to that subject right now, the passport and the visa? Because the visa, as you mentioned, visa is also some sort of a document, because the passport is issued by your own country.
Yes,
But it doesn't mean that, as the Queen is requesting on British passport, that you're allowed to go anywhere with that just because the Queen is asking. Actually, you actually need another, let's say, document, which is the visa, and blend it to your passport, stamp it or place it, or it could be electronic now to travel. So when this appears, this sense of, in order to go to a country, you don't need to get a passport. So at some point, they started to actually issuing another document, which is the visa, that is issued by the destination country, let's say.
Well, it depends, because the passport itself, if the country issuing the passport has an agreement for a visa waiver, obviously the passport itself allows you to cross a specific border without a visa being stamped in the passport. Obviously, if the country issuing the passport does not have an agreement for visa waiver or visa on arrival, you will need to obtain one with a foreign authority. This foreign authority will end the visa to your passport. So the passport is always issued by your home country right now, and all the other countries are able to add the safe conduct concept to the passport. This is why I said at the beginning that the visa and the passport, as it started, it was more like a visa than a passport.
And now, depending on the region, like here in Europe or on the Mercosur in Brazil, you don't actually need a passport to cross between countries.
That's because we have no borders inside.
So you only need your ID right now, or even, you can just cross it.
Yes. Yeah. There's no border control at all. So you can cross, actually.
but that's by land. For flying, that's a different story. Correct?
Can you fly in Europe just
without a passport?
Yes, using just ID.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And then it's identification boxes.
That's all UK.
No, not UK.
Just anymore.
Right, okay. So let's go, Manuel. Let me ask you. So you are the head of marketing and you're responsible for the development of the Global Passport Index. Can you explain what is this all about, and what's the main purpose of a passport ranking?
Yeah, passport rankings, they have been around for a while now, different kind of rankings. And when we started the company in the past, a lot of clients that were looking for citizenship, and of course, we're asking those questions because some of them, they're looking for a new passport or to have a new citizenship because their own passport have some kind of issue regarding mobility. They don't, they can't travel without a visa, as Joana said. You need a visa to travel from one country to the other. So there's a lot of countries that have a lot of problems with that, especially if you're traveling to places like here in Europe or the US, major destinations like that. And so a lot of different companies started to rank the passports using this kind of methodology to rank them by the number of countries that you can get access to without needing a visit. So this is like an ordinary ranking. If you go to the internet, you see that they're listing the passports. The most powerful passport should be the passport that gives you access to the highest number of countries without getting a visa, without needing any visa. And talking to our clients, and sometimes the client were asking this type of questions, we noticed that this is not the entire story behind a passport, because it is a citizenship document as well. The bearer of the passport, of course, a certain country, and you are entitled to do business in a different way sometimes, depending on the country, or you can live in that particular country not as a foreigner, but as an actual citizen. So they start to ask this type of question, not ranking the passports, but only as a travel document, but also as in different levels. So that's why we came up with the idea of creating a ranking to rate the passports, not only using this kind of index, but also trying to figure out what could be the other ways to rank a passport. In order to do that, first, of course, we are a consultancy firm for citizenship and residency, but we are not experts, let's say, in passport or in getting different data from different organizations or sources to came up with this solution. And there's a lot of data about that, about the quality of life in different countries, about let's say the cost of living, about the sustainability and things like that you take in account in order to apply for a citizenship, for instance. And then because of that, we hired 2 experts that have had work in different organizations like UNESCO and things like the World Bank and stuff like this, to come up with a methodology in order to help our clients. That's why we came up with this idea.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you pioneered this methodology. That's something unique.
Yeah, it's completely unique.
Okay.
We are using different parameters for each one of the rankings. It's actually 3 rankings combined in one ranking. So we have a mobility ranking, which ranks the passport by the mobility power, which is not only taking account the number of countries that you can access without a visa. It also takes into account something that we think is very important, which is the destination. Because on other rankings, when they rank 2 different passports, let's say a country have access to 151 countries without getting a visa, and the other one, the same 151. But they are different countries. One of them, you can access the United States. The other one, you can't. So now there doesn't look that they are the same, isn't it? So that's why we create, they helped us to create a methodology to rank also the destination. So we used our own quality of life ranking, which is another ranking that ranks the country regarding different parameters, to give like a number to the destination country. So depending on the quality of life, the country could get a point or half a point, and this will change the...
And that's why it's called the enhanced mobility index.
Yeah, because it also takes into account the destination.
Can you talk briefly about the quality of life index and the investment index?
Sure. The 2 other,
right?
The 2 other rankings are the investment ranking, which take into account different things like the personal income tax for the country, the GNI per capita, and stuff like this. And of course, to see if a country it's a desirable country to do investments and to do business. And the other rank is the quality of life, as you said, that takes into account if it's a desirable place to live, regarding healthcare or the cost of living, and the migrants' acceptancy and this kind of things. And the combination of these 3 rankings, so we're giving different weights and different parameters for each one of the rankings. And the combination of the 3 rankings, it's what we call the global passport ranking, which takes into account all the 3 parameters in different weights, of course.
Which are basically parameters that the clients of Global Citizen Solutions would be looking into if they are deciding to have another citizenship or invest in a different citizenship.
Yeah, because it depends what you're looking for. If you want to have a passport for mobility, of course, you're looking to the hands mobility index to figure out how many countries you can get access to, and also the desirability of the destination. But if you're getting a passport maybe to do business, because you have a passport that doesn't allow you to do business in different countries, maybe you're getting another passport looking to the investment index. But if you're a retiree or expat or a digital nomad, and you want to both have a quality of life living in the country, but also mobility, so maybe you are looking into the Global Passport Index, combining these different rankings into one. So it depends. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Thanks. This is how you put together the Global Passport Index. And I hear this is the second edition. So that brings me to my next question. How frequently is the Global Passport Index updated?
Right now, we are doing those updates just once a year, because it's when because we have so many sources. We have more than 10 sources to gather this data. There's a lot of parameters. And of course, things like depending on the ranking that we are using or the parameter, they could be updated twice a year. Most of them, they're updated once a year, sometimes every 2 years. But there are things that are changing a little bit. Let's say the visa restriction policies, they are changing sometimes daily, depending on the country, the relationship between countries. So we are not updating daily because of that, because we think that we need to wait a little bit until things gets more or less stable. And then we are right now just updating once a year, but we are planning to have like 2 year updating every 2 times a year starting now.
I see that obviously you need to wait until the change becomes a bit more permanent, so you're able to release a new ranking. But if you can, would you be able to share some findings of the latest ranking? Is there any interesting dynamics, changes, in the 10 most powerful passports in the world?
Sure. No, it's not a secret. We just published the new website. It's live. You can access using passportindex.global. But the major change is the number one passport on the Global Passport Index. Last year was the USA, which was like a surprise for many people. And this year, the German passport outranked the US. The US now dropped to the second position, and the German passport's the number one.
So they basically swapped positions.
Yeah. We have some movers as well, like the Swedish passport moved from 6th position to 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a big move.
Big climber. And any big drops then?
Canada dropped from the 3rd position last year to the 8th position.
Okay.
This year.
Maybe due to cost of living? Is that
cost of living?
Yeah.
Most of the moves were related to cost of living. Yeah, because to be honest, all the passports from let's say the first one to the top 20, let's say, they're pretty even. Let's say. I mean, any small changes in parameters like the cost of living or I don't know, there's some visa restriction that dropped for a certain country, we'll shift positions. Yeah.
And I heard this was the case for New Zealand as well, because the New Zealand passport is often very well ranked. And then in the Global Passport Index this year, it dropped.
Yeah, it dropped from 10 to the 70th position. Yeah, that was a big drop as well.
Right. Okay, so basically now we will ask you how our viewers and listeners can explore the Global Passport Index as a free platform. But I think it would be useful to know how individuals and businesses can use this information and make informed decisions about travel or relocation.
I mean, the passport has been published, as I said already. So you you can just access the website and check any of the individual rankings that are there. You can search by country. You can compare countries. You can use in any different.
I can put my passport there, like.
Yeah, you can just check for Brazil and then compare with the Spanish passport and compare it to the American passport, compare it to South African passport and so on. And check all the rankings and all the individual parameters as well. Each country has its own page, not only the rankings, but you have the page, the country page with all the information and all the data that was gathered for an interactive map where you can check the visa restrictions as well.
Okay.
And And fun fact, the passports that are ranking on each one of the rankings individually, of course, they are not the German passport. So German passport is the number one, despite the fact that it's not ranking in first position in any other rank.
Not even top 10.
Not even top. No, it's ranked in the top 10 a lot of rankings, but not the.
Because I think Singapore is
the first. Yeah, it's a completely different situation for Singapore because it's ranked on the first on the enhanced mobility, and it's also the first on the investment index. But it's not doing so well.
Let you down.
Yeah. And it looks like something in Singapore. It's an amazing country. Why? It's a very expensive country. It has some problems with migrants acceptance as well and stuff like this.
It's great that you offer a platform that has such a holistic view over such a difficult decision, moving up in the stakes and move for relocation or for citizenship. But you're able to offer something that goes beyond the traveling. The usability of a passport for travel, it also means that it is a citizenship of a place that you might want to live, and you got all this information there. So that is amazing. So I think we reached the end of it because I've got no more time left. But to wrap up our discussion, Manuel, I think it would be good for our viewers to know where they can find out more information about the Global Passport Index and what's the best way for them to be kept up to date with the latest information.
As I said, they can access the passportindex.global, which is the direct access to the passport index.
I'll think here.
And you can also access the Global Citizen Solutions website, or if you want to keep informed about the latest updates about citizenship, residence, not only the Global Passport Index, you can access Global Citizen Solutions /BeGlobal, and then you can subscribe to our
globalcitizensolutions.com/BeGlobal.
Yeah, and then you can subscribe to our BeGlobal newsletter and get information about citizenship, residency, if you're expat or digital nomad, or you want to have a second citizenship. Just keep informed.
Yeah, great. Do you guys have anything else to add? Is that okay? Can we go? Do you have your passports with you?
Yeah, I have them.
No.
So thank you for joining us today and sharing this valuable insights and knowledge about the world of passports and the Global Passport Index. As per our viewers, we hope you've learned something new and interesting about this important document that we often take for granted in our travels, and that the Global Passport Index is a useful tool for you too. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.